Whispers Beyond the Gate, Episode 1. The rain hammered Elara's bakery like an angry troll. Wind howled through the crooked chimney, scattering flour across the counter like a mischievous pixie. But Elara wasn't fazed. She hummed a merry tune, expertly braiding a lattice crust on a blueberry pie, her worn fingers moving with practiced ease. Suddenly, a crash from the back alley shattered the cozy bakery's peace. Elara grabbed a rolling pin, more for defense than offense, and cautiously tiptoed towards the back door. There, sprawled on the cobblestones, lay a figure cloaked in shimmering silver. Not an elf, Elara noted with a practiced eye. Their clothes were too foreign, the figure groaned, a deep, pained sound. Curiosity wired with caution in Elara's heart. With a deep breath, she knelt beside the stranger. "Hey there," Elara greeted cautiously, "you all right?" The figures had lolled back, revealing piercing blue eyes and a shock of crimson hair, unlike anything Elara had ever seen. "Lost," the stranger rasped, voice hoarse. Elara hesitated. Helping a stranger could be dangerous, but leaving someone injured on her doorstep worse. Besides, the blueberry pie was cooling. "Well, lost or not," Elara declared, a mischievous glint in her eyes, "you look like you could use a slice of the best pie this side of the Whispering Woods." With a surprising burst of strength, Elara helped the stranger inside. Who was this mysterious visitor, and what secrets did they hold? Elara, a baker with a nose for adventure and a heart of gold, was about to find out. Episode 2. A Pie and a Prophecy. Elara deposited the stranger on a plush armchair, their head lolling back with a pained moan. The silver cloak, damp from the rain, shimmered oddly in the lamplight. Elara carefully removed the cloak, revealing worn leather armor beneath and a satchel strapped to their hip. "Easy there," Elara soothed, setting a steaming mug of chamomile tea beside them. "Those injuries look nasty." The stranger cracked open an eye, the blue iris swirling with an otherworldly light. "Who are you?" they croaked, voice weak. "Elara," she replied, offering a warm smile, "and you are?" "Kai," they rasped, taking a tentative sip of the tea. Relief washed over their face. "Thank you," Elara bustled around, returning with a damp cloth and a vial of shimmering blue liquid. "Seems you took a tumble from somewhere high," she noted, dabbing at a nasty cut on Kai's arm. "This won't leave a scar, but you might want to explain why a celestial being like yourself is sprawled on my bakery floor." Kai flinched at the word celestial. "Not quite," they mumbled, wincing as Elara cleaned another wound. "But close enough. I'm from the astral plane, a realm beyond yours." Elara's eyebrows shot up. "The astral plane? Never heard of it. Sounds like one of those bedtime stories the traveling bards spin." Kai chuckled, a dry sound. "It's very real, Elara, and I'm in big trouble." Kai explained their plight in hushed tones. They were a scout, sent to warn the mortal realm of a growing darkness threatening to consume both worlds. Their fall was orchestrated by a malevolent force, leaving them weakened and with limited power. Elara listened intently, captivated by Kai's tale. Though fantastical, a shiver ran down her spine. "Why a baker?" she finally asked. A ghost of a smile touched Kai's lips. "There's a prophecy," they whispered. "The chosen one who will aid in the fight against the encroaching darkness will possess the scent of freshly baked bread." Elara's jaw dropped, a single blueberry pie cooling on the counter suddenly feeling very significant. "So, you're saying," she stammered. Kai nodded weakly, a flicker of hope in their eyes. "You, Elara, the baker with the magic touch, might just be the hero we've been searching for." Episode 3. A Pact and a Price. Elara stared at Kai, the weight of the prophecy settling on her like a sack of flour. Chosen one, her, the baker who spent her days kneading dough and dreaming of exotic spices, not battling interdimensional darkness. "This is crazy," she finally blurted, nervously pushing a stray strand of hair behind her ear. Kai offered a weary smile perhaps, but prophecies rarely choose the obvious hero, do they? Elara chewed on her lip, her mind a whirlwind. The idea of adventure thronged with excitement, but fear gnawed at her. What about her bakery? What about the villagers who relied on her fresh bread and warm smile? Sensing her turmoil, Kai spoke again. "The darkness feeds on fear, Elara. It will twist even the most mundane into weapons. Your courage, your resilience, these are the true weapons you possess." Elara glanced at the cooling pie, a symbol of her ordinary life. Then, She met Kai's gaze, the blue eyes blazing with unwavering conviction. "All right," she declared, a newfound determination hardening her voice. "Let's do this, but first, I need a plan." "And maybe some stronger tea," Kai chuckled, a genuine sound that warmed the room. "Excellent." "But before the plan," they said, reaching for the satchel at their side, "there's something I owe you for your hospitality." With a flourish, Kai pulled out a small, intricately carved wooden box. As Elara opened it, a gasp escaped her lips. Nestled inside, shimmering with an otherworldly light, was a single golden seed. "A starseed," Kai explained, their voice regaining some strength. "Plant it, nurture it, and it will grow into a powerful weapon." A loud crash from the front door cut them short. Elara spun around, heart pounding. A gruff voice boomed from the doorway. "Elara, have you seen a strange figure?" The voice belonged to Gregor, the village blacksmith, a burly man with a heart as warm as his forge. Elara exchanged a panicked look with Kai. Their adventure, it seemed, was about to begin. Episode 4, a blacksmith, a bargain, and a blooming secret. Elara froze, the starseed clutched tightly in her hand. Gregor, his bushy eyebrows furrowed with concern, stood framed by the rain-soaked doorway. Kai, weakened from their fall, slumped lower in the armchair, their face etched with worrying. Thinking fast, Elara grabbed a loaf of bread from the cooling rack and thrust it towards Gregor. "Just a travelling bard, Gregor," she chirped, forcing a smile. Looking for a hot meal and a place to rest his weary voice, Gregor peered suspiciously at the silver cloak draped over the armchair. The damp fabric shimmered faintly, catching the flickering lamplight. "Travelling bard, eh? Looks more like a drowned rat to me," Kai winced, but Elara nudged them with her elbow, silently pleading for cooperation. Come in," Elara continued, ushering Gregor inside and shutting the door with a determined shove. "He's harmless, I assure you." "Just needs some soup and a good night's sleep," Gregor grumbled, but shuffled his way towards the warmth of the hearth, casting another suspicious glance at the shrouded figure. Elara wasted no time. "Gregor," she began, lowering her voice to a conspiratorial whisper, "this is serious. This bard, he's not who he seems." Intrigued, Gregor leaned closer. Elara, glancing nervously at Kai, launched into a hurried explanation. She spoke of Kai's celestial origins, the encroaching darkness, and the prophecy that had landed squarely on Elara's flour-dusted shoulders. Gregor listened intently, his skepticism gradually giving way to wide-eyed astonishment. By the time Elara finished, his jaw hung slack. "So, you're telling me," he finally stammered, "that this fancy bard is some kind of hero, and you, Elara, the baker with the best bread in the county, are the chosen one?" Elara winced, but Kai, a flicker of amusement in their eyes, offered a weak nod. Gregor scratched his beard, a thoughtful frown creasing his forehead. "Sounds like a tall tale," he muttered, "but stranger things have happened." He looked at Elara, his gaze unwavering. "All right, Elara, I believe you, but what do you need from me?" Relief washed over Elara. With Gregor on board, they had a fighting chance. She explained Kai's weakened state and the need for time to recover. Then, she revealed the starseed. "This seed," she explained, "is the key. But I don't know how to plant it, how to make it grow." Gregor's eyes gleamed. "Leave it to me," he declared, a confident smirk spreading across his face. "I may not be a hero, but I know a thing or two about coaxing life from the earth." Already hope flickered in Elara's chest. Perhaps, with the help of a gruff blacksmith and a celestial scout disguised as a bard, even a baker could become a hero. But as Elara watched Gregor plant the starseed in a hidden corner of her garden, a new question gnawed at her. What would the villagers say when they discovered their favourite baker was harbouring a secret weapon in her herb patch? Episode 5, Whispers and Warnings. The days that followed were a whirlwind of hushed conversations and frantic preparations. Elara, torn between her baking duties and her newfound destiny, found her once peaceful life upended. Gregor, sworn to secrecy, spent his days tinkering in his forge, crafting a strange, otherworldly contraption at Kai's cryptic instructions. Kai, slowly recovering under the careful watch of Elara's herbal concoctions, proved to be a surprisingly engaging companion. They regaled Elara with tales of the astral plane, a realm of celestial beings and unimaginable beauty, a stark contrast to the humble life Elara had always known. During these whispered conversations, Elara learned more about the encroaching darkness. It wasn't a single entity, but a creeping malice, a distortion of magic that threatened to consume all light and life. However, keeping such a secret in a small village proved difficult. Elara noticed curious glances from her customers, whispers exchanged behind cupped hands. The villagers, used to Elara's cheerful demeanor, couldn't help but sense a change in her. Her usual warmth seemed tinged with a hidden whirring, a nervous edge to her laughter. One afternoon, while Elara was lost in thought, measuring flour for a batch of apple pies, a wrinkled old woman named Agatha shuffled into the bakery. Agatha, known for her sharp tongue and sharper intuition, peered at Elara with narrowed eyes. "Something's different, child," Agatha rasped, her voice like dry leaves rustling. "You smell of faraway places and forgotten magic," Elara's heart lurched. She stammered a weak reply, desperately trying to maintain a facade of normalcy. Agatha, however, wasn't easily fooled. Reaching into her worn cloak, she pulled out a small, intricately carved amulet. "This was my grandmother's," Agatha declared, the amulet catching the sunlight with an otherworldly glow. "It wards off evil," or so the stories say. She pressed the amulet into Elara's hand, her gaze unwavering. "Use it wisely, child. Trouble is brewing, and even the best baker needs a little luck." Elara felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. Agatha might be suspicious, but her concern was clear. Clutching the amulet, Elara vowed to be more careful. The villagers, simple folk as they were, might hold the key to victory. They wouldn't be mere bystanders, they would be her silent allies. Meanwhile, in the forge, Gregor emerged from a cloud of smoke and soot, a triumphant grin plastered across his face. In his hands, he held the finished contraption, a strange metal apparatus adorned with swirling celestial symbols. "Behold," Gregor declared, handing the device to Kai, "a celestial amplifier. Should channel your weakened magic and awaken that starseed of yours." Kai, their eyes gleaming with newfound energy, nodded grimly. "It's time," they announced. "The darkness is closer than we thought. We need to act, and fast." Elara, her heart a drumbeat against her ribs, took a deep breath. No turning back now. The baker, the blacksmith, and the celestial scout, an unlikely trio bound by fate. The battle against the encroaching darkness was about to begin, and the fate of the world hung in the balance. Episode 6. A spark in the night. Night had fallen, a thick blanket of stars cloaking the village in an inky darkness. Elara, Gregor, and Kai huddled in Elara's small garden, the air thick with anticipation. The starseed, nestled in the earth, had sprouted overnight. A single, ethereal bloom, its petals shimmering with an otherworldly light, pulsed with a faint magical energy. "This is it," Kai whispered, their voice filled with a nervous tremor. The moment of truth, Elara handed them the celestial amplifier, its intricate symbols glowing faintly in the starlight. Taking a deep breath, Kai placed the device near the blooming starseed. A surge of energy crackled through the air, making Elara's hair stand on end. The flower pulsed brighter, its light intensifying until it bathed the garden in an ethereal glow. Suddenly, the ground trembled. A low, guttural growl echoed from the distance, sending shivers down Elara's spine. Kai's face contorted in concentration as they channeled the starseed's energy through the amplifier. The air crackled with raw power, the symbols on the device flaring to life. Then, with a deafening boom, a shadowy figure materialized in the garden. Tall and gaunt, with eyes that glowed like embers, it radiated an aura of pure malice. A creature of the encroaching darkness, a harbinger of the coming storm. Elara gasped, fear threatening to overwhelm her. But before she could retreat, Gregor stepped forward, his face grim but resolute. He raised his hammer, imbued with a faint magical light thanks to Kai's earlier tinkering. "Not another step," Gregor boomed, his voice surprisingly steady. "This is our village, and we won't let you take it." The creature let out a chilling laugh, the sound scraping against Elara's nerves. "Foolish mortals," it sneered. "You cannot hope to resist the inevitable." The creature lunged, its shadowy form blurring with unnatural speed. Gregor swung his hammer, the magical light meeting the creature's darkness in a clash of energy. The air crackled, the ground shook, and Elara squeezed her eyes shut, bracing for impact. When she opened her eyes, a tense standoff filled the garden. Gregor, panting but unharmed, stood firm. The creature, its shadowy form flickering like a dying flame, seemed surprised by the blacksmith's resistance. Then, Kai unleashed a surge of energy from the amplifier, channeled through the starseed's light. A blinding beam erupted, striking the creature full force. A shriek of pure agony pierced the night, and the creature recoiled, its shadowy form dissolving into wisps of dark smoke that dissipated into the night. Silence descended upon the garden, broken only by Elara's ragged breaths. Kai deactivated the amplifier, the starseed's glow dimming but not extinguished. They leaned against Elara, drained but triumphant. "We did it," Kai rasped, a weary smile gracing their lips. Elara stared at the spot where the creature had vanished, a newfound sense of determination hardening in her chest. This was just the beginning. They had won a skirmish, but the war was far from over. The darkness had been pushed back, but for how long? Looking at Gregor, his face etched with the strain of the fight, and at Kai, their celestial energy depleted, Elara knew they needed a plan. They needed allies, a way to warn the villagers and prepare them for the inevitable battle to come. The baker, the blacksmith, and the celestial scout, they were just a spark in the night, but perhaps that spark was enough to ignite a fire. Episode 7. Whispers turned to war horns the night after their encounter with the shadowy creature. A heavy silence hung over Elara's bakery. The usual aroma of freshly baked bread was replaced by a tense anticipation. Elara, Gregor, and Kai huddled around the worn table, the weight of their shared secret pressing down on them. "We can't keep this quiet any longer," Gregor rumbled, his voice heavy with concern. "The villagers, they deserve to know what's coming." Elara bit her lip, whirring gnawing at her. How would the villagers react to their fantastical story? Would they believe in a celestial scout, a magical seed, and a baker chosen to fight the darkness? Kai, sensing her doubt, placed a hand on hers. "We don't have to tell them everything," they said, their voice surprisingly strong. "We can focus on the threat, the danger that lurks just beyond their doorstep." Elara nodded, a plan slowly forming in her mind. She wouldn't reveal their identities, not yet. But she could use her position as the village baker, the one person everyone trusted, to warn them. The next morning, Elara woke up with a newfound resolve. As she needed dough, her mind raced. She decided to weave symbols, subtle markings on the bread, symbols that would resonate with the ancient stories whispered by their ancestors, stories of celestial beings and the fight against darkness. Throughout the day, a steady stream of villagers visited the bakery. Elara served them warm bread, her heart pounding with every transaction. Would they notice? Would they understand? One by one, the villagers took their purchases and left. Just as Elara started to lose hope, a gruff voice boomed from the doorway. "Elara," it was Old Man Thomas, the village elder, his weathered face etched with curiosity. "These markings on your bread, they look familiar." Elara's breath hitched. She pointed to a specific symbol, a swirling pattern that resembled a celestial shield. "Does it remind you of anything?" Old Man Thomas squinted at the symbol, his brow furrowed in thought. Then, his eyes widened in recognition. "The Shield of Stars," he rasped, his voice filled with awe. A symbol from the old tales, a weapon wielded by the celestial guardians against the encroaching shadows. Relief washed over Elara. The symbol worked. She continued, weaving tales into her conversation, subtle hints about a coming darkness, the need for courage, and the importance of unity. By the end of the day, whispers flooded through the village like wind-blown leaves. The villagers, stirred by the strange symbols on Elara's bread and her cryptic warnings, felt a prickle of unease. The stories of their ancestors, long relegated to bedtime tales, seemed to hold a new weight. That night, under the watchful gaze of the stars, Elara, Gregor, and Kai met again. This time, however, they weren't alone. A small group of villagers, their faces etched with a mixture of fear and determination, stood beside them. "We heard your message," Elara, a young woman named Anya, spoke, her voice firm. "We may not understand everything, but we know there's danger coming." Elara's heart swelled with a fierce pride. The villagers, though unaware of the full extent of the threat, were ready to fight. With a newfound sense of unity, they huddled together, sharing stories, fears, and a flicker of hope. "We may be simple folk," declared Old Man Thomas, his voice surprisingly strong. "But we won't go down without a fight." Anya stepped forward, her gaze resolute. "We trust you, Elara. Tell us what you need from us." Elara, the once unassuming baker, looked at the gathered villagers, their faces illuminated by the warm glow of the hearth. In that moment, she knew they weren't just villagers, they were allies. Together, the baker, the blacksmith, the celestial scout, and the awakened spirit of the village would face the encroaching darkness. The battle had begun, and the fate of their world hung in the balance.